And this time they trade Lesh for a Queen of
And they did ban the
Queen of Pain Giant.
SF.
Yeah.
All right. And earlier being banned from Team Secret this time.
Yeah, Secret prefer Radiant. I think if they could choose pick or side, they almost always choose Radiant as opposed to most teams which choose side first, or sorry, pick first. So, not exactly sure why. I think some people say like the off lane's a little bit easier, or they utilize the jungle a little bit easier, but the stats have been proven that Secret just generally prefer Radiant by a large margin.
I think the main draw for Dire in the past was the easier access to Roshan, where they still have like a slight advantage, but it's not that big anymore. Whereas Radiant, like you said, easier offlane. I think to an extent it's also
Better mid as well.
The mid lane is better too. You have access to the camp. It's really good for farm efficient mid laners like that Secret like to run.
Okay.
And in addition to that, it also seems that when it comes to the safe lane, in a way it's easier to control the area generally on the Radiant than on Dire, where it can get a little bit more chaotic with the entrance points to an extent.
All right. So some solid reasons. Ruvik being banned out by LGD, and of course the Brood being banned out just a moment ago.
Yeah, they're just taking out what they feel Secret is best at. So they're not allowing Secret to go for their comfort picks, and let's see what Secret has for their replacement picks for those heroes.
Yeah, again, I mean, sure, LGD can't 2-0 anymore, but if they can at least tie, then you still leave it open-ended for the rest of both teams' matches to say, hey, let's fight for first and second seed still in Group A. The hopes are still alive there for LGD. If Secret takes it 2-0, though, that's quite a different story. And then an SD ban coming out from Secret.
Interesting. They're taking away a good Lashrock partner, but we mostly see that when you want to pick anti-mage, but of course in this case Secret doesn't have the luxury to do that anymore since they have Gyro.
Doesn't it lend more likelihood that they're going to run Leshrac as a support if, or Secret thinks that they're going to run Leshrac as a support if they ban
possibly as well. Yeah. Then the Earthshaker towards the offlane role, like what they did in the first game.
Yeah, they actually banned both Leshrac setups.
I think Clockwork could also be good for Secret here against Sword.
Yeah, definitely.
Lash and Earthshaker. Like, Clock seems to be a pick where it's generally good against a lot of the heroes in the current.
Right.
Like we talk about this a lot, like, oh, Clockwork could be good, Clockwork could be
I've been hearing that a lot from you guys. Every time we see her, but yeah, well, Clock can play well against this hero. Got that list going.
I mean, in general, Clock decent in lane. It's good in lane, like you get experience, and very good at like trading your life with someone important.
It is very, very good here. I completely agree with that pick. I think it's the best hero they could pick right now. The downside and the reason Secret might have been contemplating whether it was now they should pick it was, okay, do we think LGD will play Shaker as a core, because in that case they won't pick Clock, and now LGD see all three cores, so now they know the remaining two picks have to be supports, and they can start targeting both their picks and their remaining ban at the fact that Secret will have to grab those two.
Okay.
We might see a Witch Doctor again, perhaps, actually, for Kuro here. It's not...
There's still Dazzle, though.
Dazzle is definitely a good
I mean,
well.
we've seen so many games where Dazzle plus Gyro together is a recipe for success. You grave him and the Weave as well. Everyone gets reduction in armor on the enemy team, then the Flat Cannon just does a lot of work after that.
I think the Dazzle is also very good for LGD. To keep that Leshrac safe, who is definitely going to be the target of Secret with this Clockwork pick. Like, they want to hookshot in and blow him up with Blade Mail and Queen of Pain's Burst. So, if nothing else, if you have a Dazzle to protect the Lesh against the Clock, you will most likely at least trade those two for each other in the fight, instead of just getting your
Hashtag worth it if that happens.
Yeah, it's still worth it for Secret, but it sets up for a potential fight.
So LGD running through all of their time.
I think they're thinking whether they want to go back towards the IO again, possibly. Oh, okay, they're gonna go for the Dazzle instead this time around. So no IO this game for LGD, but more of a defensive supports to keep their cores alive.
Technically, they could still get IO if they want, but
I mean,
that might be
if they could, but their lineup is gonna be a little like. They have very little control within the supports. There's no stuns, that's the first thing. So they can't play aggressive. They have to be relying on getting levels on both, especially the Wiz to level 6 before they can actually be more aggressive. And we've seen that happen before to the teams where if you just let Secret do their thing and you just sit back, things are always not going to be good after that.
Yeah, they really don't have good control for the Clockwork right now. I mean, I think that LGD had a lot of trouble in the laning phase last game, shutting down the Shadow Fiend, shutting down the Darkseer, and I mean, Secret did kind of shore up their defenses by having the supports not in the safe lane, which is one of the reasons why I think giving Secret Queen of Pain is very difficult, just because you not only do you lose that lane, you lose the other lane just because they can leave Queen of Pain alone.
Right.
So I thought that they might try and concentrate more on the laning phase this game. Leshrac is really good, but Dazzle's a much more defensive support. Can't really gank mid for Leshrac. Can't really zone out the Clockwork terribly well.
Okay. Enchantress coming out for Secret. What do you make of that?
It's similar to what they did earlier. I think they ran a Chen versus a Leshrac in the mid lane, and it's an underhanded matchup for the Leshrac. I forgot which team exactly ran it, but I'm pretty sure it was Secret, and they just constantly gank the Leshrac.
Yeah.
And Dazzle can only do so much. You can only grave once in a while, and it's a very short range, and oftentimes with a very dominant mid like Queen of Pain, you want to be able to kill that mid, or else you're wasting so much of the potential of the hero, and often you can get 2 kills on that.
And if you look at their lineup and you think about how the early game is going to pan out, Enchantress is going to be looking to gank, and Dazzle, you're going to be holding a teleport scroll. Like, anytime middle is in trouble, you want to TP over, but if you look at the heroes they have poison, and Enchantress creeps can last for a long time, so the Grave might not necessarily mean that the Leshrac is going to be safe for sure.
Whenever I see an Enchantress, I always consider the option of running an aggressive dual lane with a roaming support and Enchantress. And then, if you look at Secret's lineup, if they were to do that and they expect it to be a core Shaker, they would play Clock versus Shaker, which I think is a favorable matchup for Clock by quite a bit actually, if he plays it well. And Zai is a very adept Clock player. And then the off lane they could put would be an aggressive dual lane with Gyro plus the roaming Enchantress threat of Puppey. And I think in the super early game, Enchantress actually matches up really well against Dazzle, because Dazzle is about sustaining multiple heroes at once with the Shadow Wave, and the Enchantress can just keep taking creeps and just draining all his mana with either a mana burn creep first off, or just getting multiple creeps and just keep running them in and harassing a lot and putting pressure on the AM that way.
I think it's really good in theory, but the problem is LGD can just sit at their jungle at the start, and their level 1 is like really, really strong, and that's...
Puppey doesn't have to start in the enemy jungle.
Yeah.
He can start in his own and then smoke up there after like getting 2 creeps. It takes 30 seconds and then you can go.
Do you think Witch Doctor would be good for that matter, with the Ange roaming, or the Witch Doctor plus Gyro together on the off lane? Do you think that could actually work?
They don't have any solution for the anti-mage, I would say, like no disables, no
So
stuns.
Lion would probably be better in that sense?
That makes their lane pretty weak.
Okay, this is
now
like
they could still be aggressing with this actually.
this is like the greediest possible pickup they can have here in this situation. They have both the supports that want to farm a lot. Like obviously Enchantress can gank early, but she can choose to farm as well. So maybe they would be, I think they might actually be just defensive tri-lane and defensive dual laning with the Gyro and the Visage. You just get farm on greedy support like Visage instead of trying to do so much. Like I mentioned before, when the enemy has anti-mage, there's 2 ways to go about it. Either you challenge the anti-mage, or you pick something that is greedy in that sense that you get something in return instead of just letting him farm. So I would view Visage as a good greedy sort of support to trade farm with anti-mage.
Okay, and then the Witch Doctor flipping over to LGD's side.
This looks like a pick targeted at
The creeps?
dealing with Enchantress
Yeah,
creeps early on with the cask, 5-second
Okay.
stun bounces in them, and in addition to that, it's a pretty decent matchup against Clockwork. When he hooks in, generally there's some sort of follow-up. Maybe you can get a cask bounce over to a follow-up hero, and if you can't, you can at least just plop down the Death Ward and it will get rid of Clockwork while he's in his cogs. Obviously, Blade Mail does not reflect Death Ward damage onto the hero using the Death Ward, so I think this is a pretty solid pick. The cask can actually also bounce off the familiars. I do believe it doesn't stun them anymore. Like, the familiars have been really weird in Dota 2 over the last couple of years, but they're pretty streamlined now. But it's still, they can carry the stun for you,
Right.
which can be nice.
I think they have to be really careful about protecting Leshrac though. If Leshrac like falls apart in this, I think anti-mage will get farm like regardless. I don't think they have the tools necessary to shut down his farm. But if Leshrac gets under farm, it's going to be easy going for Secret. So shall wait. They have to sit there.
All right, well, Game 2 has started, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see if LGD can tie it up or if Secret are going to lead Group A with 13 points.
Do it after the beginning of the laning stage.
Yeah. I like LGD's drop better this game than what Secret had pulled out, but I mean, it's Secret. They have a plan, and it's, to me, going to be more late game oriented than last game in a lot of ways, where they can't really end this game that quickly unless they really snowball out of control. And Arteezy's Gyrocopter does that a lot. It gets finds a tons of kills, then just gets completely out of control if he can move around the map. But they haven't really got... I guess Clockwork's going to be the hero to kind of pair up with him and lead the way with those hookshot initiations. So could see Secret with a quick win here, but I just don't think it's likely. I think this one is going to be going to the late game, and Secret are trying to pick heroes that they feel can maybe handle the anti-mage in a late game setting.
Well, let's see if that's the case. Welcome in everybody from the live stream, and thanks for tuning in to everybody on Dota TV. It's LGD versus Secret. Game number 2. Secret, with the win here, would catapult themselves into a very decisive first place in Group A. They'd have 13 points, and maybe not 100% mathematically guaranteed, but very likely to take the group, and with that have their choice of opponent in the winner's bracket round 1 at the main event in Key Arena. It's the International 2015, day 3 of the group stage. Today is where so much is decided for many of the teams, a lot on the line, and with that, the bounty runes spawn, S4 grabs one, maybe the other, and we get ourselves underway with what promises to be a really exciting matchup.
Yeah, game 1 delivered. 30 minutes of back and forth, just nail-biting Dota as far as who was going to take it, and everything just kind of blew up for LGD in the span of about 2 minutes' time, but we'll see if they can remain composed here going into game 2. They've gone for the anti-mage, they've also been given Leshrac, and this is going to be... I'm trying to talk about slightly LGD-favored draft, perhaps, but it's going to come down so much to the early game rotations and pressure that Puppey can put out on Enchantress.
Our mid lane, Leshrac versus Queen of Pain 1v1, something you see a lot of in pubs, but have not seen very much of here at the International thus far, as normally that Leshrac is banned out. And oftentimes the Queen of Pain even ends up in the side lane here for a lot of teams. It will be the off-lane shaker for Yao. I'll try to get his early levels. Bakuro focusing on the zoning here. Zai also trying to get his own experience, but having a slightly easier time of it. Both heroes just blocking the creep waves back early. You see the Fissure comes out. They're going to do whatever they can to just get those early levels, but the X factor, as we talked about during the draft guides, it's really going to be Puppey on the Enchantress. Very defensive draft for LGD because of the cores as well as the types of supports they've picked, which allows Secret to get away with an Enchantress, and even with a slightly greedier support in Kuroki's Visage, who later on normally is going to be given a lot of farm priority.
Yeah. Defensive, but very much complements the anti-mage pick, and we're going to see...
It's a trade-off. You let Secret have their jungle, you let them have a greedier 4-position support or 5-position, but you make up for it or look to with the anti-mage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mid lane, S4,
Whoa.
solo killed by Maybe, just got stunned. He started with the level 1 stun, and he threw it from the high ground and just started chipping away with auto attacks. And then he finally falls prey. I think that was the 3rd stun in a row that Maybe had hit on him.
This guy's laning's insane. I was like watching him for the first like two to three
jeez.
creep waves, and he was just... His last hitting and harass on the S4 was nuts.
We saw this versus Mushi as well. Now, if I recall correctly, that was a more disadvantaged matchup for... No, actually, it was Razor versus Queen of Pain versus Fnatic, where S4 died twice solo. Normally, S4 is known for doing very well on the laning stage, but Maybe catching him all completely off guard, and not only with the first Blood Gods. He's 11-2. S4 even has a Hill Ward, so he knows that there's nobody in the neighborhood. He knows he can play as aggressive as he pleases in this mid lane, and well, the power of Leshrac in play here. This lane gets ugly from here. He's got a regen rune bottle. Actually, the dream start for Leshrac. It doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah, it's this is going to be a sad lane for Queen of Pain. Puppey can consider ganking, but at some point it's going to be really difficult. Once Leshrac gets boots out, unless you get the right creep combination, it's a very high-risk gank, and if you go for that gank and it doesn't actually work, you're wasting a lot of time where you can be jungling and getting other stuff done. So I'm not sure if Puppey's going to take that risk and go for the gank. Not to mention, Zhao 8, where he's positioned on the Witch Doctor here above the mid lane, is entirely to stop a smoke gank from Enchantress. He's happy just to go back and forth from this position to stack in the jungle to protect Leshrac from Enchantress.
And speaking of that jungle, look at the start Puppey's had. He found an early Wildkin. He has been just turbo farming, level 4.5 at 3 minutes. Basically the level that you'll get from almost a perfectly executed Enigma jungle. Maybe you're 5 at this point, but this is about as fast as it gets. So Secret are still getting a lot elsewhere on the map, but with that kill and the great start he's had, we do see a gold lead developing here for LGD. The experience, though, is going Secret's way. Still pretty even and still very early, but it is a free farm anti-mage. The gyrocopter of Arteezy a bit behind in the CS, mildly so. Yep. Offlaners getting similar experience, a little more to Zai. close now, and I think that's where it really highlights what you bring up with the Witch Doctor. Like, that's the big thing that could screw up LGD here. Sai getting caught in the river, though, and there's the initial lightning to come out. Do they have a follow-up slow? They do. MMY takes the point. In Poison Touch, normally don't see this early. Could cost Sai his life. It will. The low cooldown lightning spam chews through his armor. And Kuroki unable to assist despite the haste turn he found bottom. It's almost feeling like they need that puppy gank sooner rather than later.
So far he's made the right decision not to gank, because if he would have gone for that gank, it would have failed, it would have been a waste of time. So it's very much just been LGD. They're playing very refined Dota. They had the Witch Doctor protecting mid, and now when Witch Doctor goes off to kind of help out the top lane or stack some more Earthshakers there now, they realize the one big way for Secret to turn this game around is a gank on Leshrac, and they're just entirely disallowing that. And I think Puppy's respecting it. He's just jungle farming. Like, he hasn't had any impact on this game, but he's making the most out of the bad situation by just farming.
Oh, S4, he wanted to blink. Oh, the stun missed time by maybe. Could have popped it a bit sooner there. Would have been another kill on S4. Oh, he's just lucky to get out of there. Still no boots. 14 CS to the 31 of the enemy Lesh, but oh, some wasted time there for Yao, and maybe chewing through a lot of his own mana. He'll sell the Salve here, buys the Arcane Boots. That's going to top off Yao nicely, and maybe we'll go back to the mid lane. That could have put this game really out of control for LGD, but they're able to dodge a bullet. Do want to point out, Xiao8 has been calmly stacking up the woods. Maybe he's looking to farm it now. He'll start spamming lightning, the cast comes out, and this will get Xiao8 his levels, because he's just been camping mid, as you pointed out, and he was not getting much experience early, but all of a sudden, almost level 3. One creep wave away or so.
Rocket Flare scouts it out, but it's too late, so...
I like how they farm it quickly this time. After last game, Secret 5-manning their big stack. No chance LGD is going to give that type of free economy up this time around.
Yeah. Now, one of the problems Secret may run into is that both Enchantress and Visage kind of supports that one farm. You don't have, like, the Kuro Rubik or something else that can be more of a 5 position, allowing Puppy to go for just Midas and playing greedy. And he may so well go for the Midas, but these are two supports who can benefit a lot from getting farm. Visage wants the Medallion into the Aghanim Scepter. Similar story with the Enchantress, where you want a Midas Aghanim Scepter. So for now, Puppy's getting plenty of farm in the jungle. Kuro hasn't been able to get too much, apart from pull camps. But we'll have to see if they give Kuro any space, or if he's just going to be like not farming an Ag Scepter anytime in this game. Because at best, he may get a Medallion unless he's given a lane and some farm this game.
It's actually LGD who choose to buy a smoke here. We mentioned very strong defensively, but this is really the beauty of heroes like Earthshaker especially, where they can also play offense if they need to. S4, again, the fissure combinations. This is why we see Earthshaker second picked in so many games. It's not just LGD and Secret that often prioritize this hero. It feels like it's almost every team. If they get that strong mid laner, a Queen of Pain, a Shadow Fiend, a Leshrac, probably even the best partner in the game right now, you have so many options. Whether he plays offlane or support, you can just always go for those picks, and if you're the ones on the back foot, you've got the defensive disengage. LGD off to a hot start here, and maybe after the solo kill showing off his individual talent, they even get eyes on the Secret Ancients. Last game it was Secret who kind of shut down LGD's own farm in the jungle, but it seems it may go the other way there too. LGD with a lead, not going to sit on it. They want to keep on applying pressure and look to expand it.
Yeah, I think the turnaround potential for Secret at this point doesn't come from Enchantress ganks, but TP rotations from Arteezy. His Gyrocopter is the one who can turn fights around and dish out more damage than anyone on this Radiant side. Hold down and Rocket Barrage.
But he's not going for the ganking build here. No drums. He's got the Aquila, but he's going into Dominator.
Yeah, going...
A sign that he wants to focus on farm. And, I mean, to be fair, this is a difference between Arteezy. I think the best example that we've seen a lot of, at least you and I in this tournament, Aggressive, where he always goes for, like, your phase, drums, just run around the map, TP smoke gank, more of a ganking gyro. But that's not really the Arteezy way. He likes to farm, and he is going to focus on it here.
Well, maybe Secret deciding this early mid game is not going to go well. They go for a kill on bottom, yeah.
They look for it with the call down on Xiao8. Solo something coming through, not enough. Xiao8 able to stick and heal up, and now the rotation. Maybe he tries to find Arteezy. He's a bit slow without the phase boots. That's a devastating kill, and he's going to grab it. A dominating streak. He looks for Kuro as well. Don't think he'll be quite in range here. They don't have a follow-up to that initial lightning slow. He will make it out. Well, if you're going for the Dominator, you cannot afford to die like that. And meanwhile, Sylar happily slicing creeps top lane. Very fast Battle Fury timing in the offing. The Bloodstone will begin construction here for maybe Leshrac. Still haven't seen the Enchantress really find any openings. Just farming. Now even going into a Midas, it looks like, for Puppey, potentially. Could have bought his treads if he wanted them. Secret are really rolling the dice on the farm game right now.
It's rolling the dice, but they're quickly running out of dice here, because I think it's the only one they've got left as far as options go. They've got a huge Leshrac problem. When a Lesh gets this big, there's just no real way you can fight into it unless you want to overcommit like your entire lineup. You have to use Sonic Wave, you need the Gyrocopter to be coming in. At that point, you're getting heavily outfarmed.
Gods, they have a Hill Ward mid, and they just rocketed the trees where LGD smoked only 5-10 seconds before, but they missed it, and they might get completely backstabbed here. Yao and maybe looking for the opening. The smoke's going to break. They know there's heroes around the tree line, and they're looking to go. Kuro, Arteezy just hugging the tower. LGD, they hesitate. They back off. They don't know what exactly lurks, so they'll just farm the enemy neutrals. That was almost another 2-hero takedown. I think if they dive in there, they get both, but
you don't know what's waiting for.
They play it safe.
Because they have a lead, it's the right call to play it safe there. You probably got Silo yelling, guys, I'm having the anti-mage game here. Like, I have almost got my Battle Fury. I have it by like 13 minutes here. Just don't do anything to ruin our lead, and we'll be fine.
They have more to lose than Secret right now.
Yeah.
They've got the anti-mage farming. It's a really good anti-mage game. You talked about Queen of Pain Hex as the potential answer to the anti-mage later on, but we're not going to see a Hex for a long time. Maybe, meanwhile, finding a kill on Arteezy. He went into the woods to farm, and LGD already had the ward in the jungle, so they spotted that. They completely catch him out. Beautifully played. Meanwhile, top, you can see a little pressure maybe going, but no, it's Puppey. Caught in the jungle as well. He's next. Hasn't left the woods, and so LGD take the fight to him. All of a sudden, completely out of control, Monster Shrek in the making. This guy is going to be so difficult to deal with, and they have an anti-mage problem as well. That's the terrifying part. Even if you manage to get maybe back under control, Sylar's farming, and if you focus on Sylar, I mean, good luck dealing with maybe. They're really caught between a rock and a hard place now.
Absolutely. They haven't really got the ability to gank or pressure Sylar anyways. S4's gone up there to maybe look to contest and slow down his farm a little bit, but ultimately Sylar can farm just fine against the Queen of Pain. So.
And they're farming their stacks once more.
Wow.
LGD just ping-ponging between aggressive moves into the secret jungle and farming stacks in their own woods. Their economy has been very impressive this game, and at the same time, Secret having 4 of the mid farmers, but I just look at the cores, and they're so far ahead on LGD.
Anti-Mage is in such a good spot. He can get a really good Battle Fury Vlad's timing. He could theoretically look to steal this Radiant Ancient stack, because Gyrocopter can't really farm unless he wants to go and like slow farm it with like 3 to 4 flat cannons.
They have to commit 3 or 4 heroes. Bring in the familiars, maybe tank it with the Enchantress Untouchable, but yeah.
They may look to farm it early just out of worry for the Anti-Mage stealing it, but yeah, there's a lot of farm to be had.
And there's a ward there, so they know what's going on, LGD will, for a bit longer.
Yeah. It requires Vlad's plus Battle Fury, which is still like, if you're LGD, you're like, well, we've got to wait maybe 6-7 minutes before we can try and contest
it's full Midas gaming, gods. Even the Visage of Kuro is building towards one. LGD,
Puppey's
they
been
look
scouted.
to punish even more. The smoke gang comes in, it's Puppey trapped out. Oh, did he buy the Midas in time? Yes, just barely, but they're giving up so much, and it feels like their bet is completely made at this point. Double Midas built, as well as going into the early Dominator and the Gyro. There will be no fighting for Secret, only dodging and farming. But even farming may be tough. Arteezy looking for the Ancients, but meanwhile bottom lane about to get a heavy dose of pressure. They scout with the Weave. I think it just clipped Kuro there, and they see him. Fissure, another follow-up stun about to come out for maybe. He tries to run, nowhere to go. A monster kill for the Monster Shrek, and
it's alright. He bought his Midas as well. You know, similar story.
I guess. I mean, they've gone double Midas and Dominator, and they're still getting heavily outfarmed here. They're down 3k gold, and this is before the anti-mage effect. This is before the battle.
They're going to head towards the Ancients here. If they get here soon, they can look to punish Arteezy and steal some of this. He's been working on it for a while, but with just the Brown Boots Aqua Helmet Dominator, this is a very slow Ancients, and this ward has spotted him a few times.
It has. I think they're
maybe Invis.
Oh no, not again. He made the plays mid. Can he make the plays of the Ancients? Arteezy. If the stun isn't a complete airball, he's done for. Doesn't even need to hit it on his own. Godlike for maybe. 9-0 your score. Secret getting slaughtered. This is looking maybe even worse than the loss to Fnatic as far as how the game started.
Yeah, at this point it feels like they may just get blanked. Like, where do you find that first kill? Like, what have you got here? Maybe a hook shot into a cooldown or something? Speaking of hook shot, it looks like Zai did actually use that for something. It's on cooldown back at base, but...
Maybe for Sylar.
I think to escape from Sylar is my guess.
Oh, jeez.
Probably like a hook TP or
Great
something.
denied by Puppey, but it's even going to cost him this one. Cast coming out. They're going in with MMY. They deploy the Death Ward, and Puppey will fall again. He did use his Midas
Whoa,
earlier.
there we go.
They commit a lot. They get... something. The first kill of the game for Secret, and they whiff the stun here by maybe. Yao's on the back foot. Can Secret find more? They really need additional kills to come out. A Blake forward, a screen. Even a rocket. There's no hook right now, as you mentioned. It was used earlier. 15 seconds on the cooldown there. But Battle Fury is ready now, gods.
Yeah.
He's just got to send it out.
There's a Bloodstone up on Leshrac, and this is not just like a... He didn't even disassemble his arcane boots. That's kind of...
That's ridiculously impressive.
That's very...
He's 9-0-0.
I mean, his net worth is just absurd.
At the same time, I'm curious how Secret are going to look at it, because I feel like they'll look at it and S4 is just going to say, I shouldn't have died to him solo. And a lot of this came from that initial
Yeah,
kill.
I mean, some of the following kills were maybe going to be hard to prevent. Like when the Earthshaker rotates in, there's a lot of kill potential between these, so it would be a lot. It'd be a lot better for S4 and not quite as crazy for maybe. But he was always going to have the neutral stacks. He was always going to have an Earthshaker rotation, which would probably lead to a kill or two. So maybe it wouldn't have been like the godlike Leshrac right now, but
it still would have been a good one.
I still feel like this would have been a fantastic Leshrac game, and they never had any way of shutting down Leshrac or stopping the anti-mage farming. The way LGD played with the Witch Doctor mid lane meant that there was no room for Puppey to ever get any kind of successful gank there.
And they knew that was the play. As top lane, the tower will fall. There's a backstep from Puppey, but Yao's in position. They are protecting Xiaohui's Witch Doctor of all heroes. Maybe now rotates in. Only the 8 Bloodstone charges, but at this rate, he may ramp them up rather rapidly.
S4 gets a tower up top, so he's...
Yeah, that's important for
As
Secret.
far as the economy goes for Secret, like, they're not terribly far behind on overall net worth. It's been very much like they're getting what where they can wherever on the map, but it's coming at the cost of, like, core heroes' lives here and there, and
it's also coming at the cost of even pressuring the anti-mage, who at this point has the Battle Fury. Expect to see his farm ramp up. Let's see if LGD continue to find their openings. Familiars are in position to go on Yao. There's a single stun. Second Familiar backing off. I am curious to see how much more pressure LGD wants to put on the map, because right now seems still like the best time to strike. With Double Midas not really having paid off fully yet. Gyrocopter yet to pick up his BKB. He has 1,300 gold on Arteezy, though. And they are moving Sylar down bottom, so it seems they want to start applying pressure elsewhere. Even a call-down use here. You could just see from every move Secret makes, they don't really want the big fight now. They want the creeps.
they want to go for the ultra late game here. There's not much else to it when it comes to what Secret's game plan is going to be, but what's the gold advantage should get slightly more LGD favored just because how much Anti-Mage's farming speed accelerates with the Battle Fury, but...
Can they kill him with 4? If they hook into a double Familiar stun, maybe, but that's about it. And seeing the clock top, Sylar has almost no fear.
Unlikely. Yeah, he's going for a heavy stats build as well, so he's sitting on about 1,100 HP, so...
With the power treads. And he's got 1,600 up already. I am curious, does he want the Vlads, or does he just go more into a combat anti-mage this time around?
I feel like you skip the Vlads when you feel like you really need a fast Manta against like an Orchid timing, but that Orchid timing just doesn't exist. I mean, S4 is sitting on 3.2k, so you don't know what he's going for.
He could go for one. LGD on a big smoke gank here. Secret are sitting back in decent position to reveal it and maybe turn it, but they fissure Puppey to start. Zai trapped on the wrong side of this one, and now the Leshrac stun comes out, but a 4-hero Familiar stun coming out from Kuro to try and salvage the fight. The Queen of Pain ult's there as well. Zai hooks away. The Death Ward doesn't finish him. Are they actually going to turn this fight? They clip and bring down maybe. That's 1,000 gold. Godlike streak ended. Oh, goodness gracious. Secret right back in it after that one. Sylar trying to go to work here. Secret saw it coming. They were ready, but the Monovoid does work. Brings down S4. Still relatively healthy. Sylar maybe looks to re-engage. They needed a perfect fight to hold that, and they got it. Kuroki 4-hero familiar stun coming out, man.
And an S4 rune, of course, on the Queen of Pain.
Of course.
It allowed him just like blink in aggressively, throw his spells, and then he just scurries out of there, so he didn't actually end up in too much danger with the Fissure still on cooldown, so...
I mean, aside from the familiar stun, it was just the positioning. Secret knew that exact move was coming. You could tell from the way their heroes were located. They had the clockwork out in front, positioned towards the right side of the jungle, expecting LGD to make their move. Just great game sense here from Secret. LGD, they still have the most farmed cores on the map, but after that fight with 2 Midases and the Dominator in play, it's not much of a gold lead, all things
it's like
considered.
LGD have 2 super cores, while Secret have 4 regular cores here, it feels like. Because the way the 2 supports on Secret players, they're getting a lot of farm. The Midases will carry them to the late game. Zai's not going to be able to get much in the way of farm or levels this game. But
It's Secret's turn to move. They're heading towards the pit. They don't have the Queen of Pain ult this time, though. That's a pretty big loss in damage. As Yao looks for the fissure block, it's not really a great one, but the Roche will fall off the bat. They give maybe the Aegis. Yao isolated up on the high ground, being pursued out. The cask bouncing nicely. Good defensive play. Meanwhile, the Mana Void. Zai gets trapped along with S4. Melted. They still hold the Aegis. Nobody drops. Big plays there from the Cask of Xiaowei, completely preventing the chase on Yao. And then they isolate and clean up the other 2 heroes.
that just kept on bouncing for days. Unfortunately for Secret, if it bounced like to the familiars, it would have been great.
Again, Puppey dead as well. That's 3. LGD right back in the driver's seat. Secret really had to go for that Roche, but without the Queen of Pain ult and with good defensive play by LGD, couldn't find the opening.
Having this Witch Doctor Dazzle support duo just offers so much utility. The Witch Doctor able to just heal everyone up when needed, the cast, the Death Ward, the Dazzle with the Medallion Rush, and just having Grave and heals on your side. It seems like just a fantastic duo defensively all throughout the game. It doesn't really fall off like kind of a lot of defensive laning duos can. These heroes are great even as you go later in the game.
They are trying to play the rat game a bit here. Arteezy even creep cutting the top lane, will immediately TP out and just gets out in the nick of time.
Oh, there was a Yules too. That was very close.
I don't think he even knew that Yules was in
Yeah,
play.
if maybe a TP like half a second earlier before the gyro TP, he gets that Yules off.
If that's just a regular Lesh without a Yules, not even a close call, but with the Yules in play, it is a rather close one, actually. Well, he does make it out, and Secret try to stall the game out. They definitely don't want to fight into this Aegis if they can avoid it. As Secret, or rather as LGD, continue their farm progression, and you can see the confidence Sylar has now. Freely moving through the enemy jungle. He did opt to skip the Vlads, and that allows him to have a completed Manta style already out at 21 minutes. Much more active anti-mage, and along with that, as we're seeing now, Yao with the Blink Dagger en route. A slower Blink timing, but whenever you get the Blink, the game always is going to change for the opposition.
This is such a Yao game. 0-0-11, just getting tons of assists. He plays the offlane more like a support, but he gets so much done because he takes advantage of his levels. He's really good at just using his levels to be in the right position.
I mean, look at
set
mid.
up kills.
Look at mid. Look how much he did there for Maybe.
So much of Maybe's position right now in this game as the kind of game controller is because of Yao's Earthshaker.
Manta style online, and LGD smoking again. They have really been chewing through these as of late, and that is their last smoke for 9 minutes, unless there's one sitting in the stash. They move down through mid. Maybe surging forward in front, and as you mentioned, he's got the Yules. Secret might try to set up for this one. Maybe gets revealed by Zion, the tree line, who has a hook shot ready. Arteezy down in the middle of the river, though. He's the one caught out. Fissure, and nobody even in the neighborhood to protect him. Melts to the Pulse Nova. Immediately, Secret going to try to push out this bottom lane with S4 and get the hell out of dodge.
Maybe close, goes for the stun. Half a second too late.
He's right on their tails, man. He's just nipping at them. This is intense for Secret right now. They cannot even breathe for a moment.
It does show you like just the map awareness and skill of these Secret players to just get away by half a second every single time with their split push. A lot of players in those positions would just get caught and you'd say, well, they got caught, but they've got to be split pushing when you're this far behind. But Secret do it without getting caught.
In good news for Secret, that is the last smoke LGD have for, I think it's like 7.5 minutes now. So they're going to have to apply offense the good old-fashioned way. Just straight down the middle lane, show their faces, and go for towers. But the bad news for Secret is these heroes demolish towers. An anti-mage with a Manta, not even popped just yet. Maybe with the Max Edict, almost level 16, 3.5k gold. He's still keeping the pace with a free farm AM on his own team. As Yao swings around bottom lane, Puppey just hiding in the trees, and this may be where you want to have S4 on your team. The head-on tactics aren't working, but you've got the old Alliance captain to coach the team on the Rat Dota.
The ways of the Admiral Bulldog.
Yes,
Well,
they had a seance this morning, I heard.
It's going to be tricky. You've got Puppey down bottom. You've got a couple up top. Familiar's also great for some split push as well. And yeah, the options for Secret right now is still limited. Just kind of trying to buy as much time as possible to scale towards that late game.
The Aegis is running out soon. Oh, they found one. Again, a trap. Zai caught out on the high ground. Yules into the stun and dead.
That's the one hero you're most okay with losing, though. So
yeah, it is.
As much as he's quote-unquote off-lane three position player, no, this game he's the main support.
Secret are applying pressure elsewhere. 3 up in the top lane, but look who's rotating. It's a hasted maybe. This time he finds Kuro. The cooldown gets dropped on Sylar, but Kuro won't be so lucky. Yules is at the ready. Monovoid gets chucked out just to ensure the kill. A drive-by by the pony. And now they push the top lane. This will be the second to last outer tower if they claim it, and, well, it seems all but certain they will claim it. They are lacking their Earthshaker, but
he's defending
really
the split
matter.
push, but nice deep Radiant Observer Ward spots him out. This is important because if you're going to split push mid-bottom lane, and you see a 4-man push from LGD, you're like, okay, it's probably safe, but an Earthshaker Blink Echo with one hero TPing in, and that's potentially a dead gyro, although with that said, Arteezy, he's still split pushing. Maybe he's not taking advantage of that
no,
info.
he's not. Blake Echo, Yao says, what the hell are you thinking, sir? Mega kill for maybe slaughtering the copter.
Was just about to talk about that ward preventing stuff like that happening, but Arteezy, I mean, you're in
Doesn't
a
help
desperate
you against
position.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you talked about with Eternal Envy the other day. Sometimes in this position, you just have to suicide push as a core. Keep on pushing, keep the lanes back until they actually kill you just to slow the game down, but he is their team fight right now, really, and it's going to be a tough hold from here, Gods.
Absolutely. Silas got the Eagle song up, so we'll be going to a Butterfly. Great damage output and pushing potential from this. And
let's see, can Secret pull out a miracle here? It's going to take close to that to hold this one. There is no Echo, which is the slight piece of good news. At the same time, no Gyrocopter, no buyback. S4 caught. There's a double stun into a Death Lord. They get the kill. Xiaowei is forced back. Grave onto maybe holding him and keeping him alive for now.
Aegis.
Now the self-fuels. There's no Echo. He's going to Bloodstone deny, so they don't get the benefit of that kill. But LGD will be rebuffed here, at least for now. There's the blink in, and now the Enchant Totem follow-up. They find the kill.
And Lesh is back in 5 seconds.
Very surgical moves here by LGD, and they will back.
I don't know if they want to continue going for a high ground. With Gyro respawning, and again, Lesh not having the Aegis, this makes things a bit tricky, and you just have that high-risk factor where if the Leshrac dies for whatever reason, that's a huge amount of gold going the way of Team Secret.
And they've got 2 really big items about to come out. The BKB just completed, or maybe's Leshrac. Secret don't have much on this. They have the Impetus, I believe, but that's really about it. And frankly, this Enchantress is just running for her life. The Queen of Pain ult, so-so.
Not bad. I mean, yeah.
He's just so tanky at this point. I mean, you're looking at a Leshrac with 1,700 HP, the double heals coming out, earn charges all over the place, and it's going to be tough to actually burst him down.
And Butterfly for Anti-Mage very close as well, so...
And the next Roach, maybe they wait for that, but they found Puppey in the jungle. Fissure blocks the path of retreat. Maybe just going to bypass the call down and go directly. And Zai hooked MMY in the midst of this. He finds the first kill. Did take some heavy damage, but Xiaowei marches forward, goes to work on the backside with the Deathward on Arteezy, but cleaned up by a beautiful S4 ultimate. Not going to matter. Sylar was there. He slams it home. Then the Yules. They're looking to clean up the entirety of the Secret draft. Kuro being dove back. Blake, Enchant. He's dead. It's 4. The lone survivor, the clockwork of Zai, who did TP home. Buybacks are available on 2 here, but there's no call down, there's no Queen of Pain ult, and LGD, they're looking for the Game 2 win. There's the buyback. I honestly think they could consider going here, but they just want to play it safe. They know Roche is up, Gods, and with the next stages, in fact, he's up in 15 seconds. Then they can really just ball down mid.
Yeah, and buyback's already been forced, so from there, you're looking at Anti-Mage and Leshrac scaling even more towards the late game. Gyrocopter, his item progression is going to slow down. That was his BKB money. He no longer has anything towards the Mithril Hammer, the last piece of the puzzle for it. So 1,300 short of a BKB. May have it before the next LGD push comes, since they're going to go for Roshan, but there's so little farm on the map for Secret to take. It's really difficult for anyone to build items right now.
I just look at the net worth graph, and there's just so few green dots. It's a really sad sight for the Secret fans out there.
I mean, it was about 20 minutes before they got a kill, so
there's 5
they're happy
dots
to have
here
a few.
for Secret, and there's And there's just an endless sea of red below that, just marking LGD's dominance so far of this game number 2.
It's the blue dude.
It's the blue. Well, maybe not only playing a really strong hero, but he's played it well. He's made all the right moves, and now they look for another Aegis. Sylar will blink into the pit, and away LGD goes with this Aegis. Bottom tier 2 still to be claimed. Maybe they want that, but it honestly feels like they can just run down mid and take a full lane of Rex.
One of the few games we're going to get to see maybe an Aghanim Scepter on Dazzle as well. MMY has a point booster picked up, so real luxury items coming out. And just feeling like he doesn't need a Glimmer Cape or anything. There's no real magic damage burst coming out from Secret. Outside of like the Gyrocopter, but you don't need a Glimmer Cape too much this game. Probably doesn't feel like he needs a 4-staff. Just tanking up with more stats just limits Secret's killing potential or ability to win a fight.
You called them super carries earlier, and they were only just getting towards it now. But, I mean, look at that net worth graph.
Yep.
They are over-doubling up every single Secret core. These two alone, top lane, S4, trying to split push. He does blink, but it's not really the longest range blink, and he's caught by an enchant totem. Solo killed in the end by Yao. Clobbers him. That will slow down the push that was mounting bottom lane, but LGD still not giving up any towers for free. They hold the tier 2 top. They're going to even defend mid with Xiao 8, hunting familiars on his way out. And now Kuro in the river. He'll be the next pick off here. Found a rune, but not going to matter. The regen won't save him from the endless fires of, as you called him, the blue dude. And now it's time for LGD. Down the mid lane, looking to make this series 1-1. And should they pull it off, gods, it makes Group A super interesting down the stretch. Both teams would be tied with 11 points. Here we go. Tower falls. Where's the hold from Secret? No buybacks on 2. It might not even be a hold. They may just GG out in the middle of this push, honestly. They take one melee Rex. They look for Puppey as well. The blink forward from Sylar. He's found him deep behind the tier 4s. Shredded. Just never felt the impact of the Enchantress this game. And now a leap in again, forcing Arteezy even further back. They are really committing for this one. LGD, normally they play it safe and just take objectives, but they want some kills along the way. These guys want to celebrate the win that they see in their future. Sylar barreling towards this tower, slicing and dicing, and they may make their move in just a moment. A stun forthcoming. Nope, maybe does get hexed here. Maybe they can turn this one, but he's ever so tanky. He's still got the BKB available. If he really needs to use it, he can, and he'll pop it now. And he runs back in with Sylar trying to isolate Kuroki on the backside, shreds his armor. Doesn't even have the Monovoid pop just yet. He's waiting to use an Arteezy, it seems. Might be able to kill him at the well. S4 also fairly low. They force back the Visage again, and now it's only 3 to hold. Call down already used. Queen of Pain hold up. LGD showing discipline here in the clutch. They'll take 2 full lanes of Rex, and I don't even know if they back. Here's Puppey to reemerge, but the Fissure's going to catch 2. The Lesh stun the other. Everybody disabled on Secret. Sylar just chopping Bambi to bits here. He's still got the Aegis. He didn't get off the Monovoid. He may get a double kill on the way out as Arteezy throws his own life away. Everything for the base. It's not going to matter. LGD make it 1-1, and they take this game 2 in one of the most one-sided games of the tournament, frankly.
Yeah, very convincing, but you could I'm all from start to finish, just great play coming out of LGD. They dominated the mid lane, and the solo kill from may be a big part of that, but it feels like, to me at least, even without it, things just with their draft were really hard to deal with. They had no answer for the anti-mage. There was no real way Secret could have laned it to pressure the anti-mage. And at the same time, you had a Leshrac in mid lane who was going to win his lane just by the nature of the Earthshaker rotations and the Witch Doctor camping mid to protect him. There was no room for Enchantress to get any early ganks off. No real obvious lane for Puppey to kill, so it forced Secret to play this very farm-intensive, greedy style.
You know, the worst part is we don't get a game 3. I want to see how this story ends.
If they finish tied at the top of the group, that's when the tiebreaker happens, LD.
I want to see how this story
Hopefully we'll be back
ends.
for that.
Well, we may have to wait until the main event, but my God, if these teams play each other this well going into the main event, we could be in for a real treat. They won't face each other in the first round, but who knows? Maybe this is a preview of a potential semifinal in Key Arena. Well, with that said, gods, a close game 1 that Secret pulled away with through great execution. A not-so-close game 2 that LGD crushed through, but the end result, each team gets a point. Both teams will emerge 11 points and still on top of Group A, but it also means the rest of the pack is still within striking distance if they have a really good run down the stretch. Complexity comes to mind as a team to keep an eye on. With that, back to the panel to see what they have to say.